After meeting some of our fellow travellers at the Pennicott Wilderness Journeys office, we joined our tour guide and driver Daniel to retrieve some of the other passengers from their respective hotels. The area around Kettering was explored by Bruny Island in 1792 and was settled in the early 19th century by timber cutters, whalers and sealers. Today Kettering is noted for its orchards and is the departure point for the Bruny Island ferry, which leaves numerous times during the day. The journey takes about 20 minutes across the Truganini Channel. No prizes for guessing where the channel and the island get their name. Our first stop was a visit to the Bruny Island Cheese and Beer Company.
Making cheese at home and selling the cheese in some different markets in Tasmania. Eventually he rented a room over here and he built a small production room and a tiny cellar door, and eventually the business took off and we expanded. Nick built another factory outside of the island, which is very close to our dairy farm. And over there it's all raw milk cheeses, and here on the island we produce soft cheeses with pasteurized milk. A couple of times a week. We actually have a person that is called Affin. He's a friend with Nick, obviously. And there is a river that passes through this cheesery called George River. It retains a little bit of moisture inside, so the cheese kind of melts down in your mouth when you eat it.
Everything you can imagine.
The cheese and the beer were incredible, but the star for me was the rustic sourdough bread. We are on our way to a feature called The Neck, a narrow isthmus connecting the north and south parts of Bruny Island. At the narrowest point, the neck is less than 70 metres wide. The tourist stop incorporates an impressive timber boardwalk with 300 steps to the lookout, which provides 360-degree views of the ocean on one side and the Truganini Channel on the other. The site is also a nesting area for fairy penguins, and the sand dunes on the way up the steps are dotted with holes that will be inhabited with the birds after they come ashore after dusk. The site also proudly displays a plaque honouring Truganini, historically recognised as the last surviving full-blooded Tasmanian Aboriginal. This claim is not strictly true, but she is better recognised for her lifelong struggles and support for her fellow First Nations people. She was born around this area in 1812 as the daughter of Mangana, chief of the Bruny Island people. Truganini was transported to Flinders Island during the infamous Black Wars and ultimately died aged 64 in 1876 at the women's factory in Hobart. Before her death, she had pleaded with authorities for a respectful burial and her ashes to be spread back at the D'Entrecasteaux Channel. She feared her body would be mutilated for perverse scientific purposes. Despite her wishes, within 2 years her skeleton was exhumed and placed on public display in the Tasmanian Museum, where it remained until 1947. Only in 1976 were Truganini's remains finally cremated and scattered according to her wishes. Our next destination was intended to be a walk through the ancient Mavista rainforest. This did not happen. Encountering another tourist coach approaching from the opposite direction, Daniel, our driver, was obliged to reverse our vehicle, providing room for the other coach to pass. The outcome was almost catastrophic. Only Daniel's skill and situational awareness prevented the coach from toppling off the side of the road due to the muddy, unstable conditions. Anecdotally, there is an arrangement that all coaches traverse this road in the one direction, that being the direction we were travelling. Enough said.
These guys might just...
We may have appeared stranded, but Daniel was arranging for his company to send a recovery team to the coach from Hobart, while the staff from their seafood restaurant, only a few kilometres away, were dispatched with 2 minivans to collect us in time for lunch. Although we didn't get to do our rainforest walk, we did still witness some of the magnificent stringy barks in the forest.
Amazing, aren't they? Some of it's still
The restaurant's cheery and distinctive chef was our temporary driver and revealed he swims 365 days per year. In Tasmania? Great staff, stunning location and tasty food. Although we are not oyster eaters, we could not refuse the 3 plump Bruny Island oysters that were served to us as an entree. Must say, quite enjoyable. The main course was classic fish and chips, can actually say delicious, and when asked the type of fish was told pink ling, a species dominant in the area. Had to Google it, and it does look like an eel, but was delicious. Lunch completed with a few tasty ales, we found our replacement coach ready and waiting to continue our tour. Next stop, the Bligh Museum, which was established in 1954 to display historic maps, documents, paintings and other artefacts relating to landings at Adventure Bay by famous explorers such as Tasman 1642, Furneaux 1773, Cook 1777, Bligh 1788 and 1792, D'Entrecasteaux 1792 and 1793, Flinders 1798, Bowden 1802 and others. Sadly, I was not permitted to video inside, but the artefacts on display are original items from the logs, instruments, paintings, etc. from the actual explorers. Following the museum, we stopped at another fascinating location called Two Tree Point. What is fascinating is that the scene is depicted in a painting by Lieutenant George Tobin, an officer on board HMS Providence under Captain William Bligh in 1792. The area has changed little since that time. The other feature is Resolution Creek, a source of fresh potable water used to replenish supplies for the early explorers, including James Cook, and named after his ship at the time, HMS Resolution. Amazing to be standing at that spot, steeped in so much history from our past explorers. Next stop, the Bruny Island Chocolate Company. The fudge was the star of the show, but the chocolate wasn't half bad either, with many flavour choices, our favourite, ginger. The roadside shop is situated at a property called Hobart. We were fortunate enough to explore what could only be described as the estate, with sensational surrounding gardens augmented by various artworks in iron and stone. The property includes a memorial walk dedicated to a dear friend of the owners that sadly passed away far too young. The walk incorporates 40 trees, each one commemorating every year of her life. The owners have a unique sense of humour and illustrate that in their collection of quotes from notable celebrities. Travelling back through the neck with the beautiful afternoon sun glistening on the waters of the channel. Final stop, Bruny Island honey. Who could resist sampling the many varieties of honey on offer? Yes, we had to buy several options, as we did with the chocolate earlier. The honey ice cream everyone sampled was also delicious. The end of a tiring but thoroughly enjoyable day. Thank you to Daniel and all the other people that made our day so special.